right, here we are. Good morning and welcome. Just give me a second to test my clicker. Yes, it works. All right, welcome to the session on networking. The organizers were so clever to make it one of the first sessions in the morning, so you can fully benefit from these new skills afterwards. The echo is throwing me off a little bit. I hope I'll get used to it quickly. Okay. So I will mainly do the talking. If there is a burning question, please raise your hand or shout. Raising hand may not work for everyone because I only see pockets of people and I'm kind of blinded by the light a little bit. But also I'll try to leave some time at the end for Q&A. And John is helping collect questions on Discord as well, so you can do it that way too. So, networking. As I was preparing for this session, I did a bit of research, and I discovered that this word alone causes a system error in 7 out of 10 technologists. The other 3 are probably project managers. They are the people who handed you their LinkedIn QR code in the hallway already. Let's be honest, most of us don't really go into tech because we love mingling at cocktail hours. We do it because computers make sense, and people sometimes don't. In truth, though, I did do research. I talked to a bunch of people who are either currently in technology or used to be in technology in different professions, and I asked them, what prevents you from networking more or at all? And there were 3 themes that emerged that kind of bothered me because they are not true. So we will address those themes today as well as a few more things. So the first one is people have better things to do. We feel so anxious bothering someone, kind of taking their time. We think that they don't want to give that time. We think that they don't want to help, which is rubbish. We do like helping people. It's in our nature. And helping people in the constant of networking makes us feel smart, valued, validated, sometimes better than someone else. That's okay. We want to spread our knowledge and wisdom generously. The bottom line is helping others makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside. So asking for help is not bothersome. It's natural, unless you do it in a 12-paragraph message on LinkedIn, starting with, "Dear sir, can I please send you my resume?" Don't do that. The second fear, the second myth is, I hate using people, it makes me feel dirty. When I heard that, I said, well, don't use people. That's wrong. Because who said that networking has to be transactional? It actually mustn't. Networking is an investment. And as any true investment, it has to mature. So you invest your time, you invest your curiosity, your generosity, your friendship, warmth, and if you actually do that, it will pay back, and it will pay back generously. And the last one is, I don't know what to talk about. What if I say something stupid? And again, I said, why do you feel like it's something like defending your PhD thesis? It's just a conversation at the end of the day. There's just another person in front of you, another human being. Even if they are 5 levels up above you in the organization, they are still a human being with the same human problems and human feelings. And yeah, you may be a bit more careful planning for your interaction with them so that you don't waste their time, but they're still a human being, and it's still a conversation. And if we stop putting that pressure on ourselves to have this perfect interaction, ask the smartest question on the planet, we may actually find something that we were craving all along, a human connection. Because, and this is now where the true research came in again, at the end of the day, at the end of every, or beginning of every career move, or a great collaboration project, or reference, is that thing, human being, the real human being with whom you're trying to connect. So, in my life so far, I did a lot of connecting. I'm a double immigrant. I moved from Ukraine to England way too many years ago, and I had to build my network there in a city called Bournemouth. And then I decided it's not big enough, so we moved to London, and I had to rebuild my network there again. And then, like, England is too small, let's move to the US, to Columbus, Ohio. So here I am. I had to rebuild my network once again, and every time I realized that those connections are so valuable. They helped me so many times finding jobs. Actually, I didn't even look for them. People were just like, hey, Natalie, want to come and work in my organization? I have a great role, more money. And people in my network also helped to save lives, because I said I come from Ukraine. It did happen. And at that time, when you have that relationship of trust, you feel okay to call someone you haven't talked to for 7 or 15 years and say, hey, can you help me? So at work, for majority of my career, for nearly 20 years, I was in technology in various organizations and various roles, but mainly like project, program, product, service type of management. And for a short while, I also did talent development role in also a technology organization. 4 months ago-ish, maybe 6, I moved to an entirely new org, and it's still within my company, within JP Morgan, but it's a new line of business and a new function that I've never, ever even interacted with before. And I realized that in the organizations 40,000 strong, I know 2 people. So I networked like a ninja, and I still keep doing that, learning what everyone does. But oh boy, did I actually go to those 2 people. Like, hey, I just joined, I don't know what I'm doing. And those 2 people were transplants from technology as well. So I said, can you please tell me like how you moved, how you kind of brought value immediately so you didn't sound and look like a teenager or preschooler asking like silly questions because you don't know what's going on. That was super helpful. So network does help. And now we'll talk about various techniques, tips, tricks of how to establish and develop those valuable connections and maintain them throughout, hopefully throughout our lifetime. So this is, in a nutshell, we'll talk about how to prepare for networking. By the way, I changed some of my slides and narrative yesterday. And I was hoping that I could read this, but I can't, so I'll just look at the screen quickly. So we will talk about planning to network, because that's important. You don't just go cold and think, oh, we'll find something to talk about. It's better if you know what you want to talk about and what you want to get out of that interaction. Sorry, we'll talk about research, how to kind of rehearse some of the conversations you may want to have, and addressing the what's in it for me, or rather what's in it for them. Then we'll talk about engaging with people, how to introduce yourself in a meaningful, engaging way, how to have a good conversation and leave them wanting more, the importance of being authentic, which leads to you being liked and leads to you building that relationship of trust. And giving first, because no one likes the takers, no one likes people who are me approach. And maintaining contact. So how frequently do we need to follow up? Do we keep a record? Managing your own expectations, because at the end of the day, not every relationship will blossom. Sometimes you just look at a person and you think, nah, I don't want to connect with them. I mean, who's ever been in that situation? Raise your hand. I can't see, but... if the person sitting next to you looked at you and then raised their hand, that's a coincidence. And of course, not giving up, because you don't need every single connection to develop. You just need the ones that work and the ones that will become meaningful in your life. So preparation. Preparation is simple, really. Think of what you want to achieve. Is it a reference, another contact? Is it information about the organization? Is it a mentoring relationship or career advice? So you can tailor that conversation towards what you want to achieve. Do your research, especially if it's someone whose time is a bit more rare to get, let's say. So usually these are people who are higher up in the organizations. In my experience, no one has ever said no. Like, I reached out to people at the top of the organizations. No one has ever said no. But you know that you will have shorter time, and you need to use it in the most effective way. So preparation is key. Preparation is also key if you want to make sure that you establish that connection with them, that rapport from the beginning. So Googling the person, seeing what they are passionate about, it usually helps. And thank God, internet, there's lots of stuff in there, and some people, they don't keep a low profile. Rehearse. If you are a little bit nervous going into a new interaction, meeting a stranger or someone you don't really know well, just maybe rehearse some of those phrases, some of those questions. Talking about yourself, really valuable to rehearse that, so you can be, effortless, and talk about your passion. And of course, consider the WIF. What are they getting out of it? And sometimes what they get out of it will be that warm and fuzzy feeling, but maybe there is something else you can share, because you also have a lot of information. It doesn't have to be your career advice or you mentoring them. It can be you giving them a job. It can be something that you know, a connection that you have that you can share. It doesn't even have to be something professional. It can be personal. I'll share a bunch of examples from my personal life, how I connected with people on things that have nothing to do with the work we do. So, first things first, starting a conversation. I mean, if you are connecting with someone who you already know a little bit in your organization, that will be more organic, because you know kind of what you want to talk about with them and how to approach that person. But let's say you are connecting with someone entirely new, maybe in the context of this conference or some kind of social event or a training event that you go to. Start the conversation with a positive icebreaker. Positive because you want people to associate that good, positive feeling with your name and your face. You know what they say, people will forget what you did or what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. So make them feel good. Positive icebreaker, followed by an open-ended question. Open-ended if you want to keep them talking. So something generic and again something positive. I put some examples there that can be used at a conference, but of course you can ask about like what's the project you're most passionate about this year? Or what was your biggest accomplishment last year? Or are you doing anything fun this summer? Are you going anywhere? And I recommend to always have a back pocket question. So, back pocket question is a funny story. Once we were running a training session, and my colleague didn't know what a pocket question is, and someone asked, and he's like, well, it's like something that you go really deep, like into your pocket, you need to think about it. Like, no. It's a very generic question that can be used with any person at any time. with a caveat. I recommend having a few back pocket questions because you may talk to people in your industry, in your organization versus people from a slightly different industry, maybe someone who is your peer versus someone who is way more senior, so you want to tailor your question a little bit. But in general, it's something very generic, like that question about the most interesting project or something you're most proud about that you achieved this year, that kind of stuff. So make it positive, make it something that they want to talk about, something that makes them feel proud, something that makes them feel really good about themselves. Because again, if they feel that they feel good about themselves with you, there's more chance that they will want to keep interacting with you. It's weird things, how our brain works. Now, introductions. One thing that is kind of frustrating when I hear people talk about themselves, I'm making it up, but you will probably know it's kind of true. Most of the time, it's like this. Littered with acronyms, littered with abbreviations, littered with names of some executives that I'm sure someone in your organization knows, but someone in the organization in the same company next to you will not have a clue who they are. Or diminishing yourself, like, I'm just a software engineer. You just made yourself like this small and insignificant. So that word just, forget about it when you talk about yourself. I hope that each and every one of you enjoys what you do. So think what you enjoy about it. What are you passionate about? And if you are not, then network enough to find a new job that you will love. So there's one good method or framework to talk about what you do that I really love. And you may have seen it in different guises, because it's not like something new and groundbreaking. But there is a great TED Talk by Clay Hebert, who's a marketing and branding consultant and a public speaker and a really cool person to listen to. So I think I referenced, there will be a reference to this TED Talk on the slide. So I adapted how he teaches this framework to this session, and we'll go through it right now. So the goal of your introduction is to hear, tell me more. And the premise of this introduction is, so yeah, that's the reference. I don't know if it's readable or not. To me, it's really blurry from here. But it's called The Best Way to Answer, So What Do You Do? And it's very short, but very powerful. Really, really good message there. So the premise is to not talk about what you do, but talk about the impact of what you do. And you can use different formulas, so a couple of them on the screen, starting with kind of some verb for help, like how do you impact someone else? Or how do you change something to be valuable? So for example, when I talk about myself, I usually say, I lift people up to become the best that they can be. Cool? My husband can say, I use data to add value. A project manager can say, I'm like an orchestra conductor, but in IT. A mortgage advisor can say, I make your dreams come true, and so on and so forth. So you say that phrase, and inevitably someone will ask, what does that mean? Tell me more. Tell me more. And that's what you want to hear. And then you talk about what you do with a passion of how you change people's lives. So there's a bit of homework, if you dare. Think about what you love about what you do, and practice talking about it with great passion and conviction. I was actually in one training course a while ago, and it's a in-person, whole-day training course. We were all people from different organizations, and we were sitting at the lunch table together, and of course started introducing ourselves, and we asked this one person who was sitting across from me, like, what do you do? And he's like, I'm a financial something investigator, and I'm like, oh, so boring. He looks at data all day. And then he starts, so of course, being polite, I said, so what does your day-to-day look like? And he said, well, I'm like a financial Sherlock Holmes. I investigate what's going on, and I either figure out that people got in trouble without even knowing that they got in trouble, and I help them out, or I help the company find like where the crime is committed and prevent that or stop that. And I'm like, wow, I want to do your job. So I would like everyone to learn to speak like that about what they do. Okay, so introduction's done. Introduction's done, and hopefully at that point you connected enough where the conversation is flowing naturally. But what if it doesn't? What if it kind of stalled a little bit? What if the other person gives you yes or no answers? Then there are a few techniques that can help promote that conversation. These are the techniques that are used by talk show hosts, professional interrogators, parents, if they learn them, anyone who actually needs to make another person talk more. So technique one is called chunking, and I'm pretty sure you've used it so many times you just didn't know it had a fancy name. Chunking is mining for different levels of information. So chunking up is when you ask for a bigger picture. Like in a work context, you can ask, oh, so how does that fit into the organizational strategy, for example? This is an easy example that everyone can understand. Traveling to Paris, we love that. So chunking up will be, so what do you enjoy the most about traveling? Right, going to that higher level of information. Chunking down would be, so where did you stay in Paris? Or what attractions did you see? Or what was your favorite restaurant there? So mining for detail. So in a work context, it will probably be something like, how exactly are we going to implement that? Let's talk through the details. And laterally is mining for alternatives. So like, what other cities in Europe did you visit? Or how does it compare to your other travel destinations? Something like that. Sorry. Okay. The other one is mirroring. It's one of my favorites. Mirroring is repeating one word or part of the phrase that the other person has said with like an upward inflection, a questioning inflection. For example, I've had a really difficult year, but I'm super excited about the new opportunities that this merger will bring. And you will go, new opportunities? And you can do this endlessly, by the way. So another cool person I really like listening to is Chris Voss. He's a former FBI negotiator and hostage negotiator. And he teaches these techniques as well. And he said once as an experiment, he used just this technique for an entire hour at a social setting. And then someone complimented him to his wife, said, your husband is such a great conversationalist. And the last one is called labeling. And labeling is verbally acknowledging or guessing either someone's feelings or their state of mind or their opinion on something. And you use the words like, it seems like, you seem like, or it feels like, anyway, one of those, what did I put on here? You look like, you seem like, yeah. For example, oops, sorry, wrong click. For example, I really had a difficult year, but yeah, okay, I guess we can give it a go. And you already hear in my voice that I don't want to give it a go. So you will say, Natalie, you seem uncertain, or you sound uncertain. And I will probably say, yeah, I'm so tired, I don't want to give anything a go for 3 months. Just want to lay flat and watch Netflix. I use these techniques with my daughter, who is 11, soon to be 12, and she's not very forthcoming with information about like what's happening at school, what's happening like in her interactions with friends. So she comes off the school bus like, I'm like, Nina, how was school? Okay. I'm like, Nina, you don't seem convinced. Like, well, so-and-so was an ass. I'm like, so-and-so was an ass? And that's it, two phrases that it takes, and she spills the beans. I mean, as she moves closer and closer to teenage years, it gets kind of worse. She's like, I don't want to talk about it. So then I have to be more creative, like, can we talk about it later? Do you promise to tell me after dinner? Something like that. And that can work with your networking connections too, by the way. Like, hey, do you mind if we set aside some time to talk about it? Right. So hopefully the conversation is flowing now. One thing I discovered again while talking to my colleagues in technology is that, and for me it was true for a long time as well, by the way, one of the scariest and most awkward moments in a conversation was getting out of it. Like, how do you just like step out and move somewhere else? And I put together a list. Which way am I clicking? That will help us a little bit. So there are a few grateful exit strategies that we can use. And one is just a simple, like if you want to simply step away and get out, you can be polite and say, thank you so much, it was great to meet you, I need to catch someone, I don't know, before they leave, or something like that. Or something a little bit more cheeky and more funny, like my social battery is running out, so I need to go and recharge. And I said even funnier things, like about enjoying the conversation so much that I've been needing to go to the bathroom for 20 minutes and I finally need to leave, that kind of stuff. Being genuine, being authentic, and being a little bit vulnerable maybe really helps, like so people don't feel like I've had enough of you, I need to go now. If you want to connect after, there's obviously something you can do about that too. So you say, thank you so much, I've learned so much about whatever you were talking about. Do you mind if I set a 20-minute call, or if we meet for coffee next week to talk more about it? Again, in my experience, no one has ever said no. Like, yeah, maybe they declined the coffee but agreed to a Zoom call, that's fine. I prefer in person, but if people don't want to step out or they don't have that time to step out, that's okay too. But no one has ever said no to connecting. My personal favorite, if I don't want to continue the connection with this person, is passing the baton. Like, just, hey, so-and-so, this is Gemma. Gemma wants to learn more about robotics. I know you've done a lot of research, or you've just started doing this new cool thing in robotics. I think you will enjoy talking to each other. Bye. And sometimes I do want to talk to those people, but by that point I would already probably have exchanged details. Or you can also ask them to introduce you. Like, thank you so much, you've given me so many valuable insights. Is there someone else you think I should talk to at this conference or at this event? And ask them to introduce you. Taking a breath. Okay. Do you have any questions so far on what we've covered? Yes, John.
You have a question in Discord.
Uh-huh. Icebreakers and introverts, okay.
So the question is, icebreakers can be the worst nightmare for introverts. How would you handle this? Make it optional, try talking with them one-on-one, etc. Other tips.
Okay, so I would recommend practicing it. It's like, if you make it optional, what do you go in with? Hey, I'm doing this and this. I'm John, I'm doing this and this. You can do it. I mean, that's fine. But I would recommend practicing it, and it's not silly. Practice in front of the mirror, or even better, in front of a TV screen or something with somebody's face on it. And just learn those like 3, 4, 5 phrases so you can be more natural with it. and do it that way. Another thing, and I already mentioned vulnerability, and I'll mention it again. Be vulnerable. Like say, listen, I'm such a massive introvert. This is really hard for me. I feel like we need to talk, or maybe I would like to talk to you, but I don't know how to start this conversation. Hi, I'm Natalie, and I really admire what you do. I really wanted to connect you because... So that will work. That will probably be the best way to do it if you feel okay being vulnerable like that with another person. I hope this helps. And by the way, feel free to connect with me or come and talk to me after the session as well. Right, checking how we're doing on time. Uh-oh. All right, so maintaining contact. Art of reconnecting. I recommend using something to keep track of your contacts, unless you have an amazing memory. I unfortunately don't, so I kind of use something like this, which is a networking tracker. It doesn't have to be anything specific. It's not rocket science. It's just a record of whom you've met and some kind of key notes about them. As a minimum, the name. If you re-meet the person and you forgot their name, it will be a little bit awkward. Again, you can be vulnerable to get out of that situation, but it's better if you remember. The rest is up to you. Keep connecting. So be authentic in all of your communications, because genuine interest shows, and of course, if you pretend, unless you are a world-class actor, in which case, what are you doing here? You should be in Hollywood, but be genuinely interested in what they do and the person's work experience, or whatever the reason you want to connect with them for, beyond wanting a new job from them or something. And again, not every connection will work. There's, I don't know, some percentage of chances, right? Not gonna make it up, but it will not work with some people, and that's okay too. Be generous. So be generous with your time, your interest, your information, whatever it may be. So I said I will share some stories. Sometimes people think, oh, what can I give this managing director? You know, they're 5 levels above me, and I don't know, can't teach them anything. You can share things that you don't even know you have, but if you approach your interactions with the care in mind, like I call it create a care circle. So if you care about what they care about, they will care about you. So, example, a few years ago, I worked on this strategic initiative, which included a series of events, and for the last event, the whole top executives of technology organization flew in, and after the last event, we had dinner. I ended up at the same room, at actually the same dinner table with like people who were about 5 levels above me. And we talked about lots of kind of non-work related stuff, because by that point everyone was tired and done with work. And I learned that one of the executives had a particular passion for a specific type of art. Fast forward 2-ish years, I am giving a status update to one of my executive stakeholders on the project, and he says, oh, sorry, I only have 15 minutes because I need to prepare for my check-in with my new boss, who is this guy, let's call him John, that executive I met a few years before, and he's so, I heard he's very strict and he can grill you for the entire meeting. And I said, you know what? Make sure you do not blur your background and turn your camera just a little bit so that piece of art behind you is visible. And of course he said, like, why? I said, well, because John may want to ask you about it. So 3 hours later, he's messaging me like, my meeting went so well. Thank you so much. Out of 20 minutes, we used 5 minutes to talk about that piece of art. And we connected so well, so thank you. So there. I seemed like I didn't have anything to give, but actually I gave this person a valuable bit of information that helped him connect with his manager really well. Who is awesome? Natalie's awesome. And of course, regardless of how frequently you connect or how you connect, make sure it's quality over quantity, right? Make it meaningful, make it valuable, ideally memorable, but if it's valuable, it will probably be valuable. Wrong way. There's also these things that I call snacks, which is like if your connections and interactions are big meals, these are little interactions that can happen via email or text or on social media, where you just remind people about your existence and the fact that you are thinking about them and you care about them. So it can be either commenting on their achievement or somebody else's achievement, like someone you both know, or thanking them. And you can thank your contacts endlessly. And people appreciate it so much, and it inspires them as well. There's one person who had a really, really big impact on my life and my career, and he's now like retired for 10 years. I still want to go back and email him and say, thank you so much. I just took another step in my career, or I did this, and I remember how you taught me to do this. So thank you so much, over and over again. And one other question one other concern that my colleagues that I interrogated about this told me is that it's really awkward when you haven't spoken to someone for many years. It's really awkward to reconnect. Or is it? It's not just you who have been out of touch for 5 years, it's them too. And if your relationship was good back then, they will be very happy to just talk about the good old days. Again, I reconnected with people whom I haven't spoken to for probably 7 years sometimes. They said, hi, it's been a long time, how are you doing? I just saw you got promoted, congratulations, remember that story? And the person's like, what? That's a shocking story, but that sounds like me, I probably would have said that. True story, by the way. Oh my God, I sent that email. So one lady got promoted. I worked with her more than 7 years ago. It was probably 12. And she said, I will never get promoted because I have a big mouth. And I emailed her and said, hey, oh God, the things I said. Okay. Said they either learn to appreciate your big mouth or you finally learn to keep it closed or something like that. And I thought, shit, what did you say, Natalie? And she just laughed and said, this is the best congratulations message I received. Thank you so much. How are you doing? So we had a call afterwards and talked about it. And the interesting thing about it is that 2 months later, she emailed me and said, I know you are no longer in Bournemouth, but if you know any people who are interested in some kind of developer role, let me know. So I emailed it to all of my contacts there and said, hey, anyone interested? I don't know if anyone got a job out of it, but they could have. Okay. We are close to, awesome, the recap. So hopefully it will all go well for you. Just practice, and if it goes awkward, that's fine. Next time it will go better. So remember to be polite, always. Remember to use names, because people love hearing the sound of their names. Be positive. There's this one person. So there's another conference I love going to in Ohio called Code Mesh. You may have heard of it. And there's one person I met there 3 times, and we only meet at that conference. And every time we meet, he's so negative. It's first time it was COVID, so I thought, okay, everyone's a bit down and everyone's a bit complaining about stuff. Second time, okay, bad coincidence. Third time, it's the person only sees negative in everything. And I don't want to be connected to such a person. So be positive / do not be negative. Be authentic, and we talked about that. Be generous. Again, there is a lot you have to give. which you may not even know about, but the key thing here is being aware of what the other person cares about. What are their needs? What's their whim? Right? If you care about them, you will probably know when something comes up that they care about, you will remember that and you will go and share that and you will give that. Show your passion. Listen actively. So again, often we have a goal in our networking relationship, so we want to get something out of it. But remember, hearing what people care about, understanding where they're coming from is very important, because if you understand where they're coming from, what motivates them, you can align kind of your goals and your needs with those motivations, and it will help you to connect much better and also achieve something together maybe. Hopefully that makes sense. Graceful exits, we talked about maintaining contact. We talked about if things at any point go a bit strange, awkward, maybe you committed a faux pas, made a mistake, be vulnerable. Vulnerability is a really, really powerful tool. And if there is one TED Talk I recommend listening to after this session, I would say The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown. There's also a book, if you're a book reader and have that much time, but the TED Talk is awesome too, and she talks about this way better than I can. But I would like to say, let people to see you as you are at that moment, because whatever happened that made you feel vulnerable, it does not define you. You are still you, and it's just a moment in time. And you are enough, and you are worthy. You're worthy of people's attention, people's friendship, people's mentorship, people's love, even if you messed up. And when you trust me with showing where it hurts, and when you are vulnerable with me, you demonstrate your courage and your honesty and your feeling of self-worth as well. And in return, I will give you my support and my empathy. And I will also probably relate, because you're not the only one who messed up. I messed up so many times. Final thing, remember that networking is just like Wi-Fi. Sometimes it's invisible, it's hard to understand, sometimes it's unreliable, sometimes it fails, but when it does work, which is most of the time, you are suddenly connected to everything. So happy networking. And thank you, and we have a tiny bit of time for questions. No? No more questions? Any questions from the audience? No, I can't see. Okay. That's good. Thank you so much. Thank you. You've been awesome.